Are you often paralyzed by your fears? Does it keep you stuck on the what if hamster wheel? Listen as I share the beautiful reflection on facing the fears. Hello and welcome to the Beautiful Reflections podcast. I'm your host, Katherine Johnson, a certified professional coach, mentor, writer, and speaker. I help ambitious career women gain the clarity, courage, and confidence to pursue their greater purpose and vision so that they can have fulfillment and thrive purposefully in their careers and life. I believe there is beauty in our voices, beauty in our stories, and beauty in our journeys. There is power in community, connection, and deep, meaningful conversation, which is why me and my guests are here to share our stories, experiences, lessons, and learnings to inspire you as you walk the path and step into your next level. We go deep, sharing beautiful reflections or the beauty that life has offered for us to see on our journeys in order to grow and evolve. It is my mission to empower you to believe in your power, to embrace your own uniqueness, and to be the best version of you. I want to see you move forward confidently, pursuing the bigger goals and dreams that you truly desire. Now on to the episode for today. I was 17 years old, and it was time to take the Navy swim qualification test. This was another critical part of making it through boot camp. Thankfully for me, I knew how to swim, and I wasn't afraid of drowning. However, on that morning, I was still very afraid. I was nervous about having to jump into the deep end of the swimming pool, tread water, swim 50 yards to the other end of the pool, and float. I worried if I would have the strength, as I hadn't learned proper breathing techniques. Nevertheless, this test was something that everyone had to do. And there were two options when we got to the top of the platform. We can jump when told or be pushed. I felt bad for all of my shipmates who couldn't swim because they still had to complete the deep water jump. And although there were Navy divers in the pool to assist and they weren't going to let anyone drown, everyone had to jump or be pushed, regardless if they knew how to swim or not. As I was climbing up the ladder that would take me to the top of the platform, I made the decision that I would jump. I didn't want to be pushed into the water. The climb up the ladder seemed never ending. I felt like we were climbing forever. And one by one, I watched my other shipmates take their turn, many of them petrified, but ultimately choosing to jump or be pushed off the platform into the water. When my turn came, I crossed my arms over my chest as instructed, and when I heard the whistle and go, I jumped. I was filled with quite a bit of emotion thinking about this younger me, thinking about her bravery, thinking about her unwavering belief in what she was truly capable of doing. She believed that she could do anything that she set her mind to. She was always choosing to be positive and optimistic, no matter what. She knew that things would always work out. And whatever obstacles or challenges she faced, she believed they wouldn't last forever. And this too shall pass. This attitude and belief is what ultimately led her to pass the Navy swim qualification test and all of the other many qualifications to graduate from boot camp and become a sailor in the United States Navy. This story came to mind as I was thinking about what it means to face the fears. How do we navigate our fears? And how do we move forward confidently into greater purpose and vision? Now, this topic of facing the fears is very real for me today. Once again, I find myself stretching and moving beyond what feels comfortable, safe, and familiar. And I've been thinking about what's next for me on my journey as I step into my greater purpose and vision. For me, that means what's next for my career, what's next for my writing and speaking endeavors, what's next for my coaching, mentoring, and the programs that I offer for women and young girls, when's my next retreat. Yeah, as you can hear, I've been thinking a lot about what's next. And of course, as I think about all of this, I've been paralyzed by my fears. Yep, you heard correctly. My fears have been having a good old time over here. Now, y'all know from the beginning of this podcast, I've been committed to being open, honest, and vulnerable, or bringing the real, as I like to say. I think it's really important for us to be transparent so that other women can see us and experience us and know that they're not alone. Because the truth is, things are not always rosy. They get tough. This is life we're talking about, and we're all human. I don't care how old you are, how rich you are, how successful you are, how educated you are, how spiritual you are. Everyone has fears. We all have fears and no one is exempt. The only differentiating factor is their ability to recognize and acknowledge the fears and navigate them. What I know is that my fears are always there. They're always the first thing that's ready to greet me when I'm stepping into my next level. And what I realize is that when I become paralyzed by my fears, it's because I'm either future casting, meaning I'm focused on what hasn't even happened yet. I'm doubting, meaning I'm doubting myself and what I'm truly capable of. Or I'm questioning. I'm on that hamster wheel of what if this or what if that. All of this just leads to overthinking, overanalyzing, and eventually analysis paralysis. And guess what? Under all of it is one thing, fear. I recently took a course with Justin Michael Williams, and he blew my mind when he talked about the many ways that fear disguises itself. The many things that when we look underneath what's being presented is fear. And he really called me out in a good way, though, because I'm not sure I would have made the connection or even wanted to make the connection. And some of these things are everyday things like procrastination, indecision, avoidance, perfectionism, and distraction. Underneath each of these things is one thing, fear. Yes, it's all fear. I'm going to let that marinate for a second. Okay, hopefully you're still with me. Now, if you're like me, you may be thinking, well, how is my procrastination fear? Maybe you thought you were just being lazy, or you didn't have the motivation, time, or energy, and that was causing you to procrastinate. Well, let's take a look underneath. Take me, for example. So I've been procrastinating with my writing, specifically working on my book and writing articles. Now, I know this is very important to me. I know without question that one of my gifts is writing, and I'm called to share my work with others to empower, inspire, and educate them for where they are on their journeys. But I still find myself procrastinating with it. So of course, I had to ask myself, why? Well, I'm tired, I'm not feeling inspired, or I don't know what to write about. Okay, so I get some rest, I clear my mind, I reconnect with my why that, it's really not about me. Like, this is a part of my purpose, which means it's more of a responsibility and an obligation. So now I have some of my stories and my experiences that I remember, and I'm ready to write about it. So I'm feeling pretty good, inspired and empowered, and I pick up my pen. And guess what? Nothing. So I start to feel some frustration, naturally. And this is where I either put it off, aka procrastinate, aka let fear win, or I write anyways, aka face the fear. Now I have to get honest and dig deeper by asking myself, why? And I find that deep down, I question if my writing is even good. I question if anyone will find it helpful. And I question if I have what it takes to write something as magnificent as what I imagine. And boom, right there, I get to the real reason for the procrastination. And you guessed it, it's fear. I'm focused on something that hasn't even happened yet. Something that I can't see, that I'm worried about, which means I'm choosing fear. Now, of course, there are some real fears that exist that concern our survival, but we're not talking about those. Because when it comes to moving forward confidently, the fears that show up are often the ones that require us to make a choice, which is not often a decision of life or death. We can let the fear win, keeping us stuck where we no longer desire to be, frustrated with ourselves and our life, and ultimately lacking fulfillment, when deep down, we know that we're called for more, for greater, for our next level. Or we can face the fear. And we face the fear by first recognizing and acknowledging that the thing that's blocking us is fear. All of it. The procrastination, indecision, avoidance, perfectionism, and distractions. Underneath it all is fear. Then we have to understand why and what's really, really underneath. What's the story that we're telling ourselves? What excuses are we making? What are we believing? Once we understand what's underneath, we can begin to reframe, to write a new story, and to choose new supporting beliefs. So that each time we're faced with fear, we can make a conscious choice to believe, to choose faith. So for me, this looks like in the moments when I'm feeling the frustration, I don't let the fear win by putting it off and procrastinating more. Because that means I'm choosing to believe that I don't have what it takes, that I'm not good enough. Instead, I choose to face the fear. I channel that inner part of me, That part filled with an unwavering belief and deep inner knowing. That 17-year-old girl who was brave enough to leave her family and everything that was safe, familiar, and comfortable to serve her country. Afraid of all the things that could maybe possibly happen. Real things, but things that hadn't happened. She was bold enough to say yes to her future day after day when things got hard, when the challenges came, when she was presented with obstacle after obstacle. She chose to not see them as roadblocks, knowing that this too shall pass. She was determined. She believed that no matter whatever she set her mind to, she could achieve. She believed that she could do it, and she had what it takes. I have to channel her, and I have to choose faith, and I have to choose my best action. And so I write something, anything, and I keep writing no matter what. Every time I face the fears, I prove the fears wrong, and I give myself the evidence and the confidence that I need to continue to move forward confidently into greater purpose and vision. Now listen. This is a process. Some days it's easier than others. Some days the frustration wins and I marinate there for a little bit, but not too long. If I start to marinate too long, I know it's time for me to do one of several things. First, it may be time for me to speak to myself, to reconnect with truth, to affirm what I know to be true, that I have everything I need within, that I'm not limited in any way, and the only limitations are the ones that I make. 2, it's time for me to shift my focus on what I want and how I want things to be. Not dwelling on the what ifs, what if this or what if that. Instead, my only focus is my vision. And I keep that top of mind, visualizing it in clear detail and imagining myself merely walking towards it. And lastly, it's time for me to move with fear by taking my best action that will move me forward. Even if it's a baby step, which could be journaling and unloading my emotions and what I'm feeling in the moment. It could be a meditation to allow me to get grounded and to refocus. The beautiful reflection on facing the fears is that we have to choose to see beyond our current reality. And we must believe that the greater purpose and vision that we desire is not limited by our circumstances and what's being presented in front of us. Facing the fears is choosing faith again and again. It's choosing ourselves. It's believing in our inherent greatness and power. It's choosing to do it afraid because on the other side of fear is the life that we envision waiting for us. It's choosing to believe, as Winnie the Pooh said, always remember, you're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. So with that, we should go after each day with passion and drive, facing the fears, jumping into the endless ocean of opportunity. And if you can't swim, it's okay. Grab a life vest and ride the waves of possibility. Now, I know that there's something that's been heavy on your heart. You've been thinking about taking a step towards your greater purpose and vision. Maybe you make a little progress, but you're still not quite there. Or maybe you feel stuck, uncertain about your next move. I challenged you this week to take a look at what may be getting in your way and identify the fear. Notice if it's showing up as procrastination, indecision, avoidance, perfectionism, or even distractions. With this awareness, look for any beliefs that may be underneath. What are you telling yourself about your ability? What are you believing about the possibility? Then question the truth of the belief by recalling a time, perhaps a younger version of you, or an experience or circumstance that proves the belief wrong. And from this space, decide what it would look like for you to face the fear. What's one action you will take to help you move forward confidently into greater purpose and vision, knowing that life is always offering something beautiful on the other side of your fears. Thank you for listening to the Beautiful Reflections podcast. Are you ready for more? We're now hosting a monthly live stream series, Beautiful Conversations, where we take these reflections deeper to help you step into your next level. Click the link in the show notes and sign up to join the conversation. If you're enjoying the podcast, please take a minute and leave us a rating and a review and share the podcast with someone you know. I'd love to hear from you. Use the links in the show notes to connect with me on Instagram, and LinkedIn. Send me an email, DM, or use the hashtag Beautiful Reflections Podcast on Instagram and share the beautiful reflection that life is offering you on your journey. Until next time.